This is Groove Talk with FrogE Style.
Welcome to another episode of Groove Talk, everybody. On this week's episode, or I guess it's not this week's episode, but anyways, on this episode, I'm joined by Kyle, Barry, and Cam, and they are all part of the band Sweet Berry Wine.
Hello!
So just to start, man, I'm off to a rough start.
You need that coffee.
Why don't you guys just kind of introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about the band?
All right, I will begin. I am Kyle Tenove, and I am the bass player, and I love Sweet Berry Wine. Barry, please.
My name is Barry. I'm the guitar player, and I sing as well. And I like Sweet Berry Wine.
Mm.
My name is Cam. I am the keyboard player. I am kind of, I guess, the most recent member of the band because Barry and Kyle, to my right, have been playing music together for quite a long time, but I have joined recently. And I love Sweet Berry Wine.
Oh, dang.
2-1, Barry. Sorry.
All right. I'm outvoted. We love Sweet Berry Wine. We get it.
Democracy.
Yeah. That's how we work. Yeah. What, do you have anything to say about Sweet Berry Wine?
Kyle, how would you describe Sweet Berry Wine?
Sweet Berry Wine. We're a funk soul group that we all play in various other groups, and we're coming together for an original project together because a lot of us, we operate as sidemen a lot for other groups. And it's just kind of it's a great way for us to kind of show off a little bit, I guess, and also kind of blow off some steam together, because I mean we play together in quite a few other bands, and then with this group it's nice to work on original music that's all of ours.
Okay, cool. So I guess how did the band come together then?
I think it always, like, in the beginning came together through necessity. So people would say, hey, do you guys have an original project? And even if we didn't, we'd be like, yeah, of course we do. All right, boys, we gotta get this together. And then doing that a bunch of times eventually just led to us actually playing in a group.
Yeah, I remember that conversation, actually, where we were like, you know what, maybe we should actually just make this an actual band.
Yeah.
Because Barry and I, you and I have played together for like 13 years or 12 years or something in different things. And then it was, we'd always throw something together, call in people, get everybody, and then it was like, yeah, you know what? This is working and this is fun, and there was a lot of material coming out, so it was like.
Was that why you guys said that you were like a collective for so long? Is it because in the early days it was more like you'd call up, musicians to fill out the band whenever you needed an original project type deal, right?
That's
exactly.
Correct. Yes.
Exactly. So like a lot of the time what we would do is we'd have a gig at, let's say, noon. We'd be playing some like festival, and we'd call the people up and say, okay, we'll rehearse at 10. I'll have charts, and then we'll see how it goes. And usually it went really well. I can't really think of many times where it didn't go very well.
You didn't bomb very often?
The songs
not
are
in the
super
conventional
easy.
sense.
We're a jam band.
We're just a jam. We're like spin doctors. But,
hey man, I love the spin doctor.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cam.
You're outvoted here, Kyle.
Taste of my own medicine.
Yeah, it's true though. Yeah, you're right, because we would do like the rehearsal right before the show, and then we would, and just kind of throw it together. But then it started working, and we thought about what if we actually put some effort into this. More effort, I guess. And
and there's disadvantages and advantages of doing both. So it's like cooking. So the advantage, one of my good friends, Chris Merrick, if you know, if anyone out there in the podcastiverse knows Chris Merrick, he's a great dude, and he always talks about music like cooking. So, when we were doing these kind of calling all these musicians up to do this gig, it's kind of like discovering a new recipe and being like, oh, onion, that'll be a good flavor in this band, and garlic. But then after a little while, you go, okay, I know the recipe. I'm going to just do this same recipe every time because I know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Sweet Berry Wine.
Good metaphor.
Thank you.
And then
Chris
sometimes
Merrick.
we add in the secret spice by adding another player in. or
Oh
something,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. Like maybe we're putting some green onions to add freshness.
Some chives, perhaps.
Chives, ooh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long has sweet berry wine itself been a thing then? Like as sweet berry wine.
As
Like,
like the current,
As the current, yeah.
over a year now. I think
Just about over a year,
the
yeah.
first gig you played was in July, right?
Yeah.
Of 2018.
Yeah.
That's Cam. I'm talking to Cam because
Yes.
I keep forgetting it's not a visual. I'm pointing at him. But yeah,
Bell
2018.
Barbecue. That was the first gig.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So over a year now. Yeah.
It was funny because I mean, even the first gig that I played was 2 original Sweet Berry Wine tunes, and then backing up 2 other artists. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, so even since like I've been in the band in the beginning,
Yeah.
it's that kind of format where we're like a band that backs up artists as well as has our own music. You know?
It's kind of fun too with that whole cooking thing. You know, you get to kind of test to see, oh, maybe I can play in this format or this genre of music,
Yeah.
and you know if
It's a great way to explore your own musicality too.
We're like a broth.
We gotta stop with the cooking. It's getting a little literal.
Yo, it's getting a little stale. Come on, Kyle.
I, as the only one here with kitchen experience,
Just sell Kyle out there. Actually, I don't think it's like a broth at all.
agree to disagree. That's why we came in a group of 3 instead of 4 today, so that we can just have disagreements.
So there's always one person
One
who will
person
feel
out,
like
yeah.
they're an outcast.
Yeah. Right now it's me. Yeah, so just over a year, and
Okay.
it's been. Cam has his Sweet Berry Wine license now, so he's an official member.
License to ill.
It's a tattoo,
It's a tattoo. It's our faces, everybody else's faces.
but it has to be on Cam's face. For the people who can't see in the
I have
podcast
this
world,
gnarly face
Cam
tattoo.
has a face tattoo of my face and Kyle's face
Superimposed.
superimposed over his face, like in Mission Impossible.
And-
like he's got a human face mask
And
tattooed on his face.
Carson's is on his back.
It's like that Steve-O
Like
tattoo.
Voldemort
It takes
style,
out,
Professor Quirrell. Right back into the back of my head.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a sight. I wish all of you people could see.
Yeah, and
This
understand why he wears a flat brim hat all the time, because to hide the tattoo.
He needs to pull it
Carson.
over.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So when you are like playing with other musicians, is it just kind of any genres that you guys jump into, or is it usually a specific one, or?
It's like we haven't done metal.
Okay.
Like we haven't done a metal band.
Would we do it if we got asked, do you think? We could try. We would try.
I feel like that's, I don't know, I've always loved, like I was thinking about this this morning actually, and like two of my favorite bands are Pantera and Mastodon, and they're both like fairly heavy. They're not the heaviest there is, but in terms of heavy grooves,
Yeah.
can we agree?
I agree.
I agree.
Heavy grooves.
3 out of 3.
So I'd be down to do it. I'd say that our wheelhouse is maybe not as geared towards the metal. You'd have to go with some symphonic keyboard
Like we'd have to
sounds.
be symphonic metal because as a keyboard player, playing metal is always kind of tricky. I
Yeah.
mean, there are like
Sounds like an excuse.
there are bands that have big like synth patch metal stuff,
Yeah.
but to like really beef up the sound. But I mean, I don't know.
It's kind of.
I don't know if any metal band would ask us.
That's,
No.
well, let's
Metal-
put it
yeah.
up there.
Yeah, metal
if
bands.
anyone needs, yeah, no.
If anybody needs extra musicians,
So I'd say metal is probably the only one that we don't really go towards.
Yeah.
But like, I think almost everything else, like roots, country, soul, blues.
Soul.
I do like Afrobeat with that guy I was talking about, Chris Merrick. Like we do like a project with his wife Lynn Olagundoy, and that's like Afrobeat, R&B, so a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know, we can try to do almost anything.
Yeah.
but it
We'll
has
take
to
a
be
shot.
like groove focused though, because
Groove
like, that's stuff we
focused.
really like to play. Because if like some like punk band or grindcore band asked us to play and
Well-
like they didn't groove, it would be like
Well, punk and that stuff still grooves, but I find, you know what I think it probably is a lot of metal bands and a lot of punk bands have they have their members,
Yeah.
whereas
Yeah.
a lot of
It's not
like the
like one
gigs,
person.
yeah, and also
Yeah.
a lot of the gigs that we end up getting are people who are writing songs and want to hire a band to help them. Whereas that doesn't, I don't know if that happens quite as much on like the local level in metal bands. Usually you have a group.
Band.
You know what I mean?
It's not a solo artist,
maybe
metal artist.
That's probably why we don't really ever get those calls.
Yeah.
And because we're not really in those circles. We don't really go out to metal shows very often. Nope. But I love it. It's great.
I love metal, yeah.
There'd probably be other guys that can do it way better than me, so don't call me for a metal thing.
I'm just thinking about that as like a challenge now. I'm like, but maybe.
I'd say like we like the soul R&B kind of thing is where we like to rest our hat.
Okay. So how did you guys determine your own sound then? How did that kind of come out of the ether or whatever?
It's a good question. I think that it's undetermined in a way, in that we don't really have a thing that it has to sound like. So we've got a lot of varied influences, so whatever kind of works. And maybe after it's written, we can kind of be a little bit more specific with which ones we want to play. But I don't know. Yeah. I think if it sounds good, it is good.
Part of what I really like playing in the band is because we really like allow the personalities of each individual player to come through, and that's I think really it's what I really like about the band, but it's really what gives it its sound is that like there's a lot of room for each personality of the musician to like come out, which I don't know. So we're really kind of governed initially with any of our tunes by the individual personalities, and then like Barry was saying, like afterwards then you can be a little bit more meticulous about perfecting parts and that kind of stuff. But like everything usually generates from each individual member being themselves, basically.
Okay. So how do songs kind of come together then?
It's all Bear Dog.
Bear Dog.
No, you typically like someone will bring an idea in, and then that idea will get kind of refined.
We usually like jam it out.
Yeah.
Like it sounds boring to the people at home, but like we'll have like a 4-bar thing that we'll just jam for like an hour.
Yeah. Or
and
like
then we'll record it and listen
Yeah.
back and be like, when we tried different stuff out during that time, what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah. Totally. Typically like so say like maybe I'd bring in an A and a B section. So 2 different sections of a song, and we'd be like, okay, how can we find an interesting way to go between them? Or like, what about another section? So maybe let's run these 2 sections and then see where we naturally end up. And maybe that'll be a new section. And then it doesn't always work. Like sometimes we'll bring stuff in. And one of my favorite stories about Led Zeppelin is that if they couldn't nail a recording, like so if like say Jimmy Page brought a song in, if they didn't nail it and it was perfect by like the 3rd playthrough, it wasn't a Led Zeppelin song. And I love that stuff. We're not quite like that. We're like the second Led Zeppelin, man.
Right?
Yeah, no, exactly. But I like that system of, if you try and try something and it just doesn't feel authentic to what we're trying to do, or if one of us doesn't really like it, then we won't try to beat it to death. There's plenty of ideas,
Well, we definitely had songs like that where we've like tried it and it's just like, this feels like good.
Yeah, it feels good, or the opposite. It'll feel like it's not quite making the mark, and then but then sometimes we've revisited too.
Yeah,
which I like. I think that's something that's kind of cool too. Is like because it's also a time and place thing. Who knows what's going on in our own personal lives and whatever. And then sometimes when we come back to a song, all of a sudden it grooves, and
we're in a different headspace.
Yeah, and we're all growing all the time because we're all practicing, we're all playing, this is our career, so we're out there, trying to be the best we can be, for the most part. Sometimes I like to be the worst I can be. But that's usually when I'm alone.
So how do you determine when a song is done, I guess?
It's never done.
Yeah, that's like the weird thing is like the majority of tunes we do, we will not stop refining them. So even the tunes that we have recorded, if you come to our live show, a lot of the time, like the bones are there, and like the melody and everything is you'll recognize it. But I think we all like to add things and change things always. So every time we do a rehearsal, we'll go, oh, maybe that didn't kill last time, so let's try to add maybe some hits in here, or let's let's do two, like a repetition of the chorus the third time through or something like that. Just like based off of playing live. Because, I don't think, like you can, I think a lot of people will stop writing a song not because it's perfect, but because it's never going to be perfect. So you have to at some point let go and be like, okay, this is the song.
Well,
Whereas,
also, like, I think when it's not that the songs are ever done, but the details just get finer and finer.
totally.
Like, you're just more in tune to, like, the smaller and smaller parts.
But you can always make it better and better and better,
Yes.
or you can always keep on, maybe not even that, but you can always keep on working and working and working on it. And I think that the art is to be able to let go. And maybe we're not doing that yet. we just keep on going. Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of an exciting part too, because like I have never ever, from all the shows we've done and all the whatever, I have never ever, and I don't feel this very often playing music, but if you're playing the same thing exactly how it's supposed to be every single time, it can get a little redundant after a while. But with this, it's always like, and then there's times live where one of us will miss that new thing or something, and then we take them out back and beat them with sticks.
Yeah, beat their legs.
But it beat their legs until they can't walk. But it's like one of those things that it just adds a little bit more edge. So when you're playing, you're attentive. You're not getting complacent and you're not kind of because you don't want to get. We all got scars on our legs. That's why Carson isn't here today. He can't walk.
No, there'll be times like where we'll make a change and then only one person will remember it.
Yeah.
Like there's been a couple times
Are you
where
bringing up anything specific, Barry?
there's like or
the vocal one where I got sold out.
So there's a song where there's like a gang vocal, like everyone's supposed to say he and he's and everyone forgot except for Kyle. So like we're playing this groove and going, and Kyle goes he's and nobody else does it.
And everybody and I was like, fine. So then I had to I just kept going
like James Brown.
Like we sold him out so hard by accident. And it's funny because as soon as it happened, I had this realization of, we just screwed Kyle. But I was like, I'm not gonna say nothing because we look good right now.
And on top of that, I was wearing fluorescent clothes that day. So it was like, oh, look at that idiot. Just yelling to the wrong place.
I should have, after the song finished, be like, listen, guys, I'm sorry for Kyle. He really screwed that up.
Yeah, man. I would have taken it. That was pretty funny.
For the good of the band.
For
so there's been a couple things like that. It's happened to me too. Like we had at shots one time where we do this big phrase of "bow bow 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 bow," and I did it, and it sounds so dorky when it's just guitar.
We both didn't.
Yeah, they both didn't.
That was the same show.
Was that the same show?
That means it's happened twice because I'm thinking of a different time when it happened to you.
That was the thing I thought you were bringing up was those hits. Because I remember literally there was the same thing where you played them and in my head I was like, oh.
And we just looked at each other and we shook our heads.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah. I probably shot a look. That's my move.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive looks.
Full of passion.
Yeah.
For the people at home, you can't see Barry's face, but
it's passionate.
I'm just slightly almost weeping. Yo, I really scared those suckers, and I'm crying, looking at you guys. Yo, they won't cross me again. I showed them. Anyway, yeah, I can't remember how we got onto that, but refining,
and the songs never being done.
Yeah, so I think I'm trying to think. There's probably some tunes that have stayed somewhat similar. We have a song called Devil that hasn't changed too many times. I think the only thing that's changed is I did a solo in it originally, and then Cam now does the solo in it.
Well, we worked on the synth tone a bit too.
It's true.
Because, I was trying to find my spookiest synth tone.
Well, and then we all like improvising, so I think sometimes, somebody will throw something in just to maybe I'm the only one who doesn't. No,
Well,
but like we
We'll
all.
have a chat after.
Is that the reed bag?
Well, it's great playing with like musicians that really listen so intently too, because like a lot of the things we add in, like, a lot of the time, like the audience wouldn't know. But we're all so in tune with each other that we kind of keep it fresh by maybe
Yeah.
changing up voicings or adding a new line or a new fill and all that stuff.
It's kind of fun to. I think that's one of the fun things about Sweet Berry Wine is it's kind of like a gonzo, like over the top fun thing where everyone can feel free to improvise, or like you don't necessarily need to fit the role of like playing exactly the parts. Because I think like playing exactly the parts is great for a lot of genres. Like if I'm playing James Brown stuff, I would not think
Sacred.
of doing anything besides what the original guitar part was in a James Brown song, because at that point it's like when in all the movies when it does like the CGI zoom in shot of a clock and all the gears are going
Yeah.
like that. It's like that.
Yeah.
Everything needs
It
to
fits,
line up
yeah.
perfectly. But in this group, that's what the fun of it is a lot of it's improvisation and
And stretching the cogs.
stretching those cogs.
Yeah, like Salvador Dali.
Yeah, they melting everywhere, baby.
Melted blocks. Ocelots.
You look over, I've grown a Salvador
The
Dali
mustache.
mustache since the...
We should do that for a show.
I sometimes touch up the details of my grooves with this mustache.
All right, enough mustache jokes, Cam.
You promised you wouldn't throw me under the bus, man.
Toot toot.
I think that's really cool though, because when you're going to see musicians live, you almost expect it to be different from just the recording,
Totally.
Because like if I've said it many times, but if you want to just hear them play the music, then why not just listen at home?
record.
Yeah.
Where you're comfy.
It'll be
and, like,
better sound anyway.
Yeah, everyone will know their parts. No one will leave anyone hanging.
Yeah.
I think like that's a really valuable part of live shows, and then also like, man, live shows are so awesome. A lot of it is the community. Like if you there's a lot in Calgary, a lot of great communities that are just like so tight knit, and you go to a show and you can go to Broken City any night and you'll be like, okay, I know that I'll know at least a couple buds there. But then also I think one thing that we're trying to do with live shows is just have fun and like have a big party and have everyone participate with us. I don't know. I think that's one of the best parts about it. Live shows with Sweet Berry Wine is that we're trying to make sure that it's a fun thing. Like we're not taking ourselves super seriously, and you're allowed to have fun.
Yeah.
The war on fun is over.
It's over. We've signed the treaty. That's true, because it's a genuine, and that's the thing, that when you come see the show, it is all of us being completely ourselves. Because I think sometimes, and not in a negative way, but like when we're supporting another artist, there are certain things we have to be aware of, like and
That being said, we're pretty lucky because the artists that we
Yeah.
work with are pretty, first of all, super ballin',
yeah,
and they're all very talented, and they're also pretty cool about working with goofy
goofy.
people.
Yeah,
Goofy dude.
We're hard to
it's hard
deal
to
with sometimes.
It's hard to temper. It's hard to temper the personalities.
Yeah, but not in a bad way, but just you can get a vibe of the goofy kind of
The goofy
aloofness.
nature.
The goof.
We are but honest folk.
Yeah, but yeah, totally. I think, and it's like a different hat too.
Yeah.
Like with Sweet Berry Wine, it's kind of like let's see how far we can kind of like go
it.
with these weird songs and all this stuff, and then when you're playing a supporting role, it's a little different. It's like video games, Everyone has a different strategy. Maybe I'll be a paladin. I'm going to heal everyone. I'm playing a supportive role, Or maybe a medic, a paladin would heal, but then also go in, play a little bit of both.
I'm a necromancer.
He brings the dead.
Yeah, it's true though, because we are very fortunate with all the artists we work with, and we only work with artists who we can hang with and who do allow us to, not like it's hard to be restricted in certain circumstances. I mean, we're also, we are aware and respectful of the artist's reputation and all that. So I mean, I can't be, projectile vomiting on stage as in a supportive role.
But Sweet Berry Wine, that's all he does.
Yeah, it's all blood and vomit.
It's like a scene from The Exorcist.
Yeah, that's where I get it all out.
Anyway, come to the show.
Yeah, come to the show.
Don't stay in the front.
Yeah, it's like
like
SeaWorld. Or guar, yeah, exactly, yeah.
The germs.
The funk guar.
Yeah, we're like the funk guar.
That sounds tight.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe we should add that in.
I feel like Parliament was the funk guar.
Yeah.
Like with the outfits and everything.
Yeah.
We can't compare ourselves to Parliament. Have you seen any live footage of Parliament or Funkadelic?
Oh.
Anybody out there?
The
check it
diaper
out.
man.
Yeah, there's like dudes just like shred. Was he the guitar player?
Yeah.
Like shredding guitar, but he's just wearing a diaper.
Wearing exclusively a diaper.
An oversized diaper.
Which I think it has like a giant bobby or like safety pin in it too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's an
it
outfit.
does. It's
Like
an
that's
outfit.
that's a choice. That's a choice.
I
they
like
have
that
to make.
era. It's like Ohio players too, where they'd all have, or even the Isley brothers, like when they had that weird era of like, I'm a Virgo and I'm a Sagittarius, and they're all like dressed as like the
As their sign.
Funk
their
is,
zodiac signs.
funk has always kind of been like it's always been that kind of
It's extra.
just really good music, but yeah, real extra. I love that.
I like the extra.
At the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about. Like I love that you can go over the top
and
and
just embrace it.
but at the same time, the music that you're playing, you're real serious about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's just not you're not self-serious, if that makes sense. You're serious about the music, but it doesn't need to be serious music. It
Yeah.
can be, but
We're
it
not
doesn't need to be.
crossing our arms and making the pouty faces.
Oh, I am. And Cam actually is right now.
Yeah, he is.
I can't see under your two face tattoos, but
That's why I got them. They conceal my emotions.
you're not an island, Cam. You're
not
not
an
an island.
Reveal your emotions.
So is there anything that you guys do to try and like stand out with your live show?
Yeah. I think in terms of just having an exciting show and trying to get people excited, I think is kind of one of the things that I personally try to do. I think everyone does. But in my mind, a lot of the time, for me, when I see a live show, what I am really wanting to see as much as music is a personality. Is like somebody who looks larger than life. And you're like, yo, like, who's that guy? Because that guy looks super cool. Or that chick is like out of control, but in a
guy's
cool
wearing a
way.
diaper.
Yeah, exactly. That guy's wearing a diaper. That's
That
crazy.
guy's vomiting on the front row.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's true, because I think, like a big part of the show is the audience interaction between Barry and the audience. And then, I mean, Cam and I also have mics. It's just, bridging that gap. It's not like we're up there and we're divided from the audience. We're trying to get the audience riled up as much as possible.
That's what's really great about a live show, and that's actually why I really like one of my favorite kind of setups to play is when we're on the floor with an audience, because then you're eye level and you can look everyone in the eye. I love doing that.
Yeah, because I think
Direct eye contact.
I think a lot of musicians kind of have this like this view with their art where it's like they get on stage and they're like, I am presenting you my art and you can take it or leave it.
Which can be very cool
can
too.
Be very cool
It's amazing.
That's
right?
like,
That's
you're
the
a force of nature and you're a
Yeah.
personality. But
Yeah.
I feel like a huge aspect of our show is that we really like to foster that connection with the audience and like break down like the supposed fourth wall, the barrier between the audience. And
We're
the
making
musicians on
music
stage.
together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sing, holler.
Yeah, and it's like we really like the performance really, like a lot of what the audience participation, what the audience does is really like it affects the performance, and it's really like involved in what the performance is. So
Totally.
Symbiotic relationship.
People's
Exactly.
faces are like the kind of the way that you can make decisions when you're improvising.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the healthiest, like it's great to be able I think that a big part of making art is not caring what people think, but then at the same time I love looking at people's faces and I'm like, okay, that one person over there doesn't look interesting, or they don't look interesting.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Quite bland.
Hey, you get out! No, they don't look interested.
But wait,
So
that's
what-
Cam's brother.
He doesn't look interested in the show. He's very interesting, but no, just calling out family. What's going on now?
I've got a thing against Cam today.
Anyway,
like
yeah, no,
Chris
I think
Campbell.
it really dictates a lot. Like seeing if people are interested, and if they're not, why? Is it because maybe this isn't the right venue for us? Is it something that we're not doing? Whether we'll change it or not, that's cool. But just being aware, like I think a very aware of people's emotions person to a fault sometimes. Like I'll be oversensitive to people all the time, and I think that also translates to being on stage, where I'm like, oh, okay, how's everyone feeling right now? A lot of the time I'll just yell at people and ask, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Or like,
Give
can
us a
everybody
woo.
scream in the mic? Yeah, I'll be yelling into the mic, which sound guys love.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think that's one thing that sets our stage show apart, is just like, you are gonna come and you're gonna have fun. It's a fun show. You're not gonna. No one's gonna look at you for talking at this show. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a party. Yeah. I think that's a good thing, and we're all very critical thinking people too. So it's
And that we're very critical of each other.
very critical. We are honest yet critical folk. But but then when we finish, like, you know, when we play a show, and that we are always aware of that, and I mean, we always have discussions, and very honest, brutally honest, frank discussions.
I've
about
cried many
what's-
times.
Yeah, me too. Cam doesn't have tear ducts, but
He can't cry.
he can't cry. He just cries blood. But we talk about what works, what doesn't work, and how we can improve on that, because that is important, especially. You know, and we do want everybody in the audience to feel comfortable and have fun. We don't want to ever alienate anybody, or, you know, it's except for Cam. That's what I'm doing today.
Yeah, what's going on?
I just have to say I love Cam Louis. I'll make a statement, a proclamation.
Anybody at home who can't see, he's shaking his head and kind of symboling no
Yeah.
while he's saying all
And
this
there's
stuff.
Funny
blood
thing is,
tears
it's like
coming
you don't
out
want
of
to
his
poke
eyes.
the bear, because like as soon as you maybe take a little bit of a jab at Kyle, he pounces on you.
He strikes. Yeah, he's very.
I
I don't think that says anything about having baggage. And all that.
yeah. I'd say I pounce like a cougar, but that might get Cam excited.
See, that's it. That's exactly
Yeah,
what.
that's the technique.
That's pretty funny.
Cam loves cats.
He's trying to climb in my.
What do you have in your jacket there?
I don't think I have anything.
He does that sometimes. You can just.
And now he's lost.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. He's that's Chester. If you're a listener, regular listener of the show, you're familiar with Chester.
Hey,
and the
Chester,
way he
come here, bud.
fucks things up. But
So I used to not like cats, mostly because I was very allergic. And then I got a cat. And I was like,
the next logical.
I was
thing.
like, this is so dope. So I got another cat. And now I love cats. Oh, Chester, you are such a suck.
Cats are the best.
Cats
My
are
watch has a cat on it.
tight. That's a tight watch.
It's my cat. I miss her very much.
My girlfriend was actually the same way.
Yeah.
She's allergic to cats.
Yeah.
And the cat that is right there.
Yeah.
That is her cat. So.
Oh, really? I feel like you can get over the allergy.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Because, like, this, like, a tabby cat would have just, like, destroyed me a little while ago.
Yeah.
But now I'm great. I'm like...
We also like Tom Waits.
Clap hands! Hey.
So, how do you get the audience to kind of care about what you guys are doing musically? I know that's kind of the big, I don't know,
big question.
the big question. But what do you guys do, I guess, to try and make that happen?
I think authenticity goes a very long way. And there's like more business oriented answers that we could say. We just went to CMW And
Breakout West.
Breakout.
West.
Oh,
CMW's in Toronto.
dear Lord, we didn't go to CMW.
No.
We went to Breakout West with one of the artists that we play with, who's actually amazing. Anybody who's listening should check her out. Emily Patterson.
Woo!
She's like
The
a
Queen of
phenom.
Banff.
Yeah, totally.
Banff
She's
Poet
just
Laureate.
amazing.
Yeah.
But we went, and there was a lot of good seminars about how to do that very thing. But I think in terms of, like, what's the point if you're not being authentic to yourself?
Right.
You know? It's the same thing with, a lot of the aspects of it. It's like, why are you playing music if you're not going to be authentic to yourself? I get, like, to make money? Then why are you playing music?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that for a living, you know? So it's like, it's a tough question. What do you guys think?
I think so. And the effort we put into the shows.
Yes.
Anytime we play a show, we put extreme, like, we work on it for a long time. We talk about it as a group, and then we discuss with the venue, and that's a huge thing for us, is working with the venue so that we throw the best show we possibly can, and it's great for the venue, it's great for us, and that alone, I think the kind of pre-work we put into every show is evident whenever we put on something, because then it just shows how much care. Like, that just, it always, anytime you put so much effort into something, even if people don't know all the steps you took, I think it just shows.
Yeah.
And then
Like-
we care, because it's like, we've never played a gig and been like, oh, what are we doing here? Like, it's always, we're there and we know what we have to do. Even if Carson is late for sound check, I'm with him. It's like,
Called out!
yeah, it's like, but for the most part, other than that, we we put in all effort to be, to be professional, but also to be that band that you can go see. And even if you don't know what the chord progression is, or you don't know the full story behind how we put this show together, you're going to go, wow, this was well put together. This isn't just some ragtag kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think, anyway.
Unless that was your authentic self.
Yeah.
If you were a ragtag kind of thing, then be a ragtag kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
it's
just
all
not
just
our
about...
band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not us.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But I think that the audience always appreciates when they know that you care. Like, they can tell, and they appreciate that. It's like you're putting on a show for them, and they can tell that you put a lot of work into doing it, and then they appreciate that. So I think that's kind of the best way to make an audience care, is to show that you care about them by putting on the best show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that makes a lot of sense, because, like, a lot of people, maybe it's their one night out a week or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
one night out a month. And
Exactly.
they've chosen to spend that night with you guys and
Yeah.
pay money or whatever.
Shows can be expensive, too. Like, I'm not talking, like, hundreds of dollars. I guess it could be if you're, like, drinking a lot. But, like, it's not a small thing to have people come out to a show.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe where a lot of the appreciation for people who go out to shows comes from for us, is, like, we understand that it's not a small thing. Like, thank you so much for buying a ticket and maybe buying some drinks and, like, and being present.
Yeah,
That's
you could
so
have been
important.
anywhere else.
Yeah, you could have been anywhere else. You could have been in Siberia,
Yeah. Himalayas.
the Himalayas.
Well, and it pays, and honestly, some of it pays our bills, so we're very appreciative.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I don't know. There is a definite, it's we're always so appreciative of the audience, because people, like, when we've done sold out shows and stuff like that, it's one of the most exciting things in the world. And it's not just because we get to play; it's because we're surrounded by all these people who came out, and like, this could be the one time they go out. And they brought people who don't even know us or something like that, and that to me is like, wow, like, that's special.
Yeah, it's
That's
very
special.
therapeutic on our end, I think, because a lot of the songs are about, in terms of lyrical content, are about love and life and loss and all the ups and downs and peaks and valleys. And then you're basically, like, throwing out all those concepts from your point of view to 100 people in a room, and they're listening. So it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I'm getting to kind of put forward my ideas in the world, and people have paid to see it and are wanting to hear that perspective. And that melody that goes with it or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So it in our, I think, appreciation of people and kind of making sure that you're not taking it for granted is also very important when it comes to having an audience or having a fan base. Make sure that you're not holier than thou. You're not too good for your fans, because I know we aren't.
We are simple folk.
Yeah, we're simple folk, you know? But, yeah, it's also pretty easy when a lot of the people that are going to music are also musicians who are playing their own shows and everything, you know? And I know for myself, like, mostly because I work a lot of nights, I wish I could go out more. I'm trying to make a habit of going out more, you know? It's a hard thing to do. So when people make it out to ours, I'm very appreciative.
Mm-hmm. It's something that I've also kind of been trying to be more aware of, especially having this podcast and, like, you know, basically telling people, hey, get out to local shows, and then I'm like, but I'm not going to that many either. So
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It is very hard.
So,
and there was a time when I think I was going to shows at least like 2 a week, and it's awesome because you get so tight knit. But then the thing that's tough is, you know, if you have a girlfriend at home or you know, maybe she wants to go out. I guess that's not a very good excuse. Sorry, Andra!
We're all like,
no, you know, like,
it's
there's
just
things
life
at
is
home.
busy.
Yeah, life is busy.
Yeah.
And it's our job, too. I think
Yeah.
that's part of it
Yeah.
sometimes.
Sometimes,
Maybe?
sometimes it can be like you play such and such nights a week, and then you have like your one night off, and it's like you are out every other.
I just want to play the Outer Worlds, you know?
I just want to take an Epsom salt bath.
Yeah, or watch like the new season of Stranger Things or something. You know.
We all just revealed what we do in our spare time.
Or I gotta go home and practice.
Epsom salt baths, Outer Worlds, and Stranger Things.
Sometimes all at once. Yeah.
You're playing, like, the Xbox is precariously above the tub. Kyle, no!
This is the end for me.
What a way to go.
Gotta live on the edge.
You rage quit and, like, throw the controller and it knocks the Xbox in. He died doing what he loved.
Yeah.
Being
Well,
filled
Cam's
with
been playing
unadulterated
bass,
rage.
so at least I've got a sub.
Yeah. Cam's a kind of all-around...
Yeah, he's coming
Musician.
up for my job.
He plays bass, he plays
I
guitar.
thought we were throwing me under the bus, and then you had the one jab at Carson. I'm like, we're switching gears to Carson. No, we're right back.
Hey, that wasn't a jab. I think you're doing very well on your bass.
He actually is killing it on bass.
I'm sorry, you can't take a compliment.
We've actually been doing rehearsals without
I've been
Kyle
trained
lately.
well.
Yeah. I guess that's the other thing. We were all taught by the same person at some point, so it's like we all have the same
Mannerisms.
the same. That's why the jokes are flowing.
Yeah.
Like sweet berry wine.
I mean, I guess that's a good thing, because, you know, in a band you want to have like some sort of you want to enjoy hanging out with the people who are in your band, right? Or else again, it's kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
100%. And it's like you hear about bands that hate each other all the time, and it's like, I guess, like, was it the Eagles?
The Eagles, oh man.
Yeah,
those
so it's
brutal.
like, I guess if I was in the Eagles, like, I could probably tolerate it.
Yeah.
But, like,
It's all about
but
money.
why? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If you're kind of creating art, and you're doing it in a collaborative way, you want to do it with people that you think understand and you feel comfortable doing it with. I feel like I don't know if I've been in, like, a band where I didn't like the people, because I don't know if there'd be a point in doing
it's
it.
like, why would you want to be in a band?
Totally. 100%.
Yeah. And in our band, we're all very different. We're four very different people, but it's kind of like what Barry said earlier. We all have our role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Barry's the great paladin. I'm the necromancer. Cam's the android, and Carson.
Oh, it's
It's
Carson.
a wild card.
He's a wild. He's the
He's the
Joker.
bounty hunter.
The bounty hunter. Yeah. So, but we're all very different people. But as a whole, we make we're Megazord. You know, we're all
Yes.
the pieces together. There's so many different pop culture references.
Yeah.
You're mixing your metaphors there.
Shit. But it's just one of those things that it's like, yeah, we're all very different people. But then when we get together, like we played the other night. And we had dinner before, and we went to Local, and we had shout out to Local. Maybe I can get a discount next time. Thanks for the kombucha. But we went there, and the four of us had dinner, and it was like we were riffing like we are in this podcast for an hour. Not all at Cam's expense. He was fairly rude at dinner. But the four of us sitting together and laughing, and then and we're not talking about. I don't think we even really talked about the show. We just talked. As we're four friends sitting together, and then I think that really translates into our music. But that's an important aspect and dynamic of the band is we are four people who are very different, but we all share the common goal of, music and it's our livelihood, and that's what we want to do with our future. There's no kind of like, maybe I won't do this. We're all like, yeah, we're doing it no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if I end up
An Epsom salt bath.
drowning in accidental electrocution Epsom.
Freak Xbox Epsom salt bath.
Who knew Epsom salts could conduct electricity even more?
Yeah.
You flew too close to the sun.
Who knew it was an
I am
electrolyte?
Icarus. Yeah. My wings have melted. We just went through so many different references there. We just we don't get along at all.
Everyone turned off at this
It
point.
was quite intimidating when I first joined the band, I'll have to say.
Yeah, that's right. You were
Hanging
saying
out,
that.
I was like, who are these people? They go through so many references so fast, I'll never keep up.
And now you're one of us, Cam. You joined the cult.
Yeah.
You'd be like, hey guys, it's nice to meet you. And we're like, that's like that episode of Darman Greg.
Will and Grace, am I right? I would punch him right in the stomach.
What's happening to me?
It's true. And I think that was actually that's a bit of a funny story though, because when Cam, so we'd been using different players and calling different players just depending on availability, and you found Cam, right?
We played
We
that
found
show
each
with
other.
K-Riz. Or no, it was one big jam, and then the first gig we actually did was with K-Riz at Groove Theory.
It was so crazy, yeah.
And we didn't have a rehearsal or anything because we were all so busy.
Yeah. Well, I remember playing guitar at one big jam, and I looked to my right, and I saw two shiny, glinting eyes.
Dazzling.
I just remember going, oh man, those eyes, like, whose eyes are the... Who's that guy? And then I kind of like finished the gig. It left my mind. And then we played for this, actually another really talented artist named K-Riz from Edmonton. And Cam played, and I remember being like, oh, those are the eyes that I saw, the dazzling eyes. So to this day, sing for me! But shout out to
Cats and Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera. So then we, I guess, kind of played together and thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, how did that start?
Well, I remember being like, because I had just moved, I just moved back to Calgary because I was living in Ottawa going to school, and then I moved back to Calgary and I did these one big jam, and I did the show with K-Riz, and I was like, wow, this Barry guitar player, he's like the man.
He's always looking at me in the eye.
I gotta start playing with this guy because like he's going places, and then we couldn't like jam though because Barry I worked during the day and then Barry taught in the evenings, so we were never free at the same time. So it took months before we finally were like, because I think we did the K-Riz thing in like November-ish, and then we didn't actually jam together till like January or February.
No.
Yeah, and then so then that was like the four of us the band was together, the four of us that we are now Sweetberry Wine, and then the first gig was in July-ish.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's crazy.
And as soon as we had you come in and play, we were kind of like, okay, we don't need to call anyone else in.
Yeah. Well, he's got so much gear too. He showed up with like $30,000 worth of gear, and we were like, "Well, he's playing. His playing's okay, but I mean, he's got all this stuff." No, but it was just. I do have to say though that I was so impressed with how much shit he brought the first time, because I was like, "Damn, this guy can carry something," and his equipment is heavy as. Like I almost stopped myself from swearing. I'm just gonna shit. Heavy as shit. But it was like I was just impressed with the effort he put in to come to rehearsal, and that for me was something I I definitely, and Barry as well, we both picked up on right away. We're like, oh, he wants to come here.
I think you're speaking for me. I don't think at any point I was like, that guy's got a lot of gear, therefore a lot of moxie. Like
He actually said that to me later that day.
In fact, it's the opposite. I've always been quite worried about Cam because he'll come in carrying like
You're like, Cam, your back's gonna be so compressed.
yeah, because he'll come in with like 400 pounds like on his back and his shoulders. And
We call him the Sherpa.
yeah, exactly. Like guide me up
The
somewhere.
Android Sherpa.
But yeah, but yeah, I'm always so worried about his back, man. Like,
I do a lot of
A lot
yoga.
of stuff.
do you do a lot of yoga?
I do, actually.
Really? What's your favorite position?
Oh, do you like to hang yourself?
That's not. That's called something
That's
else.
For those of you at home,
Yeah,
I'm
that's,
miming folding myself in half.
He's taking his.
That's called the David Carradine position.
Oh,
Sorry.
I do a lot of yoga. Not that kind of yoga.
How do we make it like? How far in are we? We're like half an hour, and you already brought up David Carradine.
He was my favorite part of Kill Bill.
Actually, he was dope in that. I never watched Kung Fu though. Did you ever watch Kung Fu?
Grasshopper.
Like Kung Fu movies?
No,
No,
Kung
the
Fu,
show
the
Kung Fu.
show.
Show
That
Kung
was like, because I think that was his like.
His big. Yeah, that's why he's like.
The Kung
But
Fu
now we're
Man.
talking about.
But yeah, when Cam came in, I just remember the shift. That's when I think that's when we started actually going full original and full thing. So I guess when he started coming in and feeling like, wow, who are these crazy people? Because we are intent. Maybe I'm just talking for myself now.
All three of them are intense. They're
Yeah,
intense.
and he actually just met. We were out a month ago, and Cam was saying, he's like, oh man, when I first joined, I wasn't sure if like you guys are pretty intense, and I was like, oh well, I guess we don't censor ourselves in that space because it's really, yeah, it's a very raw space, right? Mm-hmm.
He just comes into the room and Kyle's shaking me. Oh, hey, Cam! what's up?
Remember when the first starts.
It's 100% all in good fun, but I'd never been in an environment that was just that many jabs and jeers. right off the bat.
Right
You know
out
what I
of that,
mean?
yeah. Well, he fit perfectly, and we're glad to have him. If he'll still have us.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my friend group is the exact same, and I've been told that we're a little intimidating to be around because we just shit on each other.
Yeah, I feel like
But,
it's like a valuable thing in
Yeah,
a friend
Well,
group,
you have
know?
to kind of be able to, like, do that.
Yeah.
Because, like, how well do you really know somebody if you can't?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
It's kind of like my two kitties. My two kitties are always
Jab and jeer
testing
your
each
kitties.
other.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they'll be kind of fighting, and I'm like, oh, do I need to split this up? But no, they're just seeing where's the limit. What are you sensitive about? You know, I wear an orange toque a lot, and that's my hard no. Don't make fun of that toque.
I didn't.
Everything else is cool. I'm not looking at anyone in particular in this room, but
It's looking right at Cam.
Again?
no, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that, you know, when you go home at night and you think about your day, and sometimes you're like, oh, like did I go too far? It's one of those things.
Yeah.
But then I'm always like, yeah, but I got just as many thrown at me, and everyone was happy. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
sad about it.
And if it ever goes too far, we all, yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
could yeah, there's been times where I think we've all, especially Cam, has overstepped the boundaries. but then because even though we jab and jeer, we all care about each other very much.
Yeah.
And that's I think at the end of the day, because I mean, besides being bandmates, we're also very, very close friends. And if one of us goes, you know, I was gonna say down a dark path, but that's not what I meant. If something happens to one of us in our personal life and that person is going through a really rough patch or anything like that, the rest of the band comes around and supports that person. So I think it's kind of nice because it's like, yeah, we can be poke, and like all that all the time and going at each other, but then at the end of the day, it's like we all love each other. And then again, translates to the music and the live show. It's just
We've
a
come
big
full
old
circle.
big old hug fest.
Yeah.
Full circle, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like the circles you're into. Like, I feel like I've always been in a circle of friends that that's just part of the being
The camaraderie.
good buds, the
Yeah.
camaraderie. It's like what you're saying about your friend group. It's like everyone jabs at each other, you know.
Yeah.
the way she goes.
There she goes.
And if you go home and you cry, that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's the
Come
way
back
she
tougher
goes.
next time.
Yeah. Trust me, my heart is as cold as ice now.
That's true. Yeah. I can take anything, and I don't feel it.
I don't feel anything anymore. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, your friends are just preparing you for life.
Exactly.
They've already said all the bad things about you, so
Exactly.
anything anybody else says,
It's like,
you're like,
yeah, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, like the pirates when they're like, I can't have a drink. It just flows through me and tastes of ash. That's kind of like, you know, everything in my life now. When the moon strikes.
You keep an apple in your jacket just in case your humanity comes back.
Yeah. I had a pet monkey and now he's a skeleton monkey. Big Jeffrey Rush fan.
Shout out to Jeffrey Rush.
Yo, shouts out Jeffrey Rush.
Yeah. Big influence on my bass playing. Yeah.
So, do you guys have any plans to record in the future here? Or?
Yeah, all the time. Well, I think we're just kind of lining that up. We had to take, well, we didn't have to take, but we took a little bit of a break past month. We were all just really busy doing other things and whatnot. And then now, I think, anyway, we're all...
Our drummer had a child, too.
Yeah, he had a baby, yeah.
Yeah. Shouts out young Levon.
Young Levon.
Young
the future.
Vaughn.
Young Vaughn.
Yeah.
Young
One
Vaughn.
day he'll be his dad's sub.
That's a chant at a lot of our shows.
Yeah.
Young Vaughn. Young Vaughn. Young Vaughn. Yeah, we're planning on recording... I don't know, like, this is the thing is, like, recording is such a sacred thing. Like, or it can be. I love recording, and I think where you record...
Written in stone.
Then it's written in stone, yeah. But depending on where you record, it'll always come out different, you know? So I think, like, we just have to nail down exactly where we want to record. The place that we've recorded previously is OCL Studios, and that place is just, like, amazing. It is such a good creative space, and we did it not live off the floor, but basically live off the floor with overdubs, and that space translates really well to that, and other things, but that's kind of how we fit into that studio. But then when we record with an artist, like when we recorded with Emily Patterson, we'll set up a studio in a bedroom, and then everything is overdubs, so it's not live off the floor at all, and then you meticulously pick each kind of aspect, and each one of those processes is amazing in its own kind of thing, and I think we are just trying to make sure that we go into the studio knowing which one of those processes we want, you know?
Yeah.
It's very important.
Because the thing about recording is there's no rules, and there's no textbook, really, to say, like, the best way for how you should record your song. You know what I mean? So, you okay there, Barry?
Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah,
there's no, like, set way as to how, like, nobody can tell you how you're supposed to record, and it's gonna be, like, the best way right out of the gate. So, like, we're still, like, we definitely have a lot of plans to record, but, you know, we have to really kind of, you know, make some decisions about the best way to go about it, who to use, and all that stuff.
We've been really fortunate with recording. Like, so at OCL, we had Russ Broom doing a lot of, like, the production side, and he's... Do you know Russ Broom? Russ Broom is, like, a certified...
Genius.
Yeah, he's like... I don't know. He's like... He has a certification on his wall.
Genius.
Yeah. No, he's just amazing, and he's a guitar player, like a really, really good one.
He's Jan Arden's guitar player.
Yeah,
Shout out to Jan Arden.
Shout out to Jan Arden. But he also, like, works with so many artists and has, like, also does the production side, and he has a really great mind for that. So we've been so fortunate with our recording so far that, again, we want to make sure that it's perfect. That's, like, the thing. But that's also, like, the flaw. Like, I'm such a fence sitter. That's also the flaw is, like, it's like what we were talking about with song structures. The only time that you're finished a song is when you decide that you want to let go. It's the same with recording. I think it's like we could mull it over forever. I think our plan is probably in the next month or two get back into the studio.
Yeah.
I'm making that our plan right now.
It's on a podcast, so it means it has to happen.
It's actually like
It's
our
set in stone.
That's kind of like how a lot of like deadlines are made. Is we'll be like, okay, announce it.
Yeah,
we gotta
over
figure
the
it out.
radio. Yeah, we'd be like on CJSW, and it'd be like we make some like statement that we're gonna do something, and then it's
we're
like,
oh,
well,
crap.
I guess we gotta do that
Or else they got that face.
now. Yeah, exactly. We like to keep our word. Like we released the tracks in May and in June, Honey Bear and Cookie Monster, and but they were recorded quite a ways before. We just, we were trying to figure out what we were doing and to effectively release it. So it's kind of like, it's been a while since we've been in the studio with Sweet Berry Wine, and Cam wasn't there the last time. And he brings tons of stuff to the table. So it's, it's going to be, it's a really exciting experience to get back into that. I'm pumped. I'm fucking pumped.
Yo, calm down, man.
Sorry. I just had some fight milk.
He's been
man.
drinking chocolate oat milk all day.
It's giving me the shits.
Pretty strong like a raven.
Strong like a raven.
He has an IV. People at home.
Yeah.
He has an IV going directly into his arm
Fight
Yeah.
milk.
of fight milk.
Yeah.
And then the other arm is chocolate oat milk.
Yeah.
And he says he doesn't even like it. He just.
I don't like to taste it, so I just take it
IV.
intravenously.
But he said he'll do anything once.
Yeah.
So he's not-
Almost everything once.
now everyone's all caught up on what's going on in the studio.
To be fair, like I do the same thing to myself. I'll like make
Intravenously?
yes.
You fight milk in the veins, am I right?
Sorry, I had to pop in with that question.
But I make grand statements to the public, being like, "This is what I'm doing," and then I'm like, "I guess I actually have to do that
Yeah.
now."
Yeah.
Because or else I won't.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a good way of doing it,
Hold
you know?
yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Like, well, I said it
It's
Yeah.
in a public forum.
Because we'll mull over things, and that's the thing. We'll get stuck in that ocean of, well, we can do this better. If we take more time, if we do this, we do that. But then once we get into the studio and start going, it's like, oh yeah, we could have probably done this 6 months ago.
It's the art of letting go.
Yeah, that is a book.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh.
think it is.
What's it talking about letting go of?
It's
Like your
lost
possessions
ones or
and relationships.
oh
Yeah, like with your family, just being alone.
You're not an island. Kyle.
asking for a friend, is that available at Indigo or Chapter?
I've got the audiobook
You mind lending it to me? For a friend.
for a friend. Somebody I know.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Well, I feel like we could continue this conversation on for
Let's
another
do
hour.
All right, we're doing it. I'm just kidding.
Unfortunately, I have to go back to work.
Oh.
So, is there any just kind of final things that you guys would like to throw out there?
What do you do for work?
I work as a warehouse manager at
Dope.
a company called CB Medical.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Whoa.
Shout
Dope.
out to CB Medical.
Yo, shouts out.
I
Shouts
get
out.
IVs.
We got IVs, we got adult diapers, we're
Yo, let's start a funk
Harlan
band.
Shout out.
No, I think we don't really.
What are you talking about, Barry?
Cam
We
has-
have a show coming up.
Oh.
Well, when does this come out though?
it'll probably be the first week of December.
Oh.
It's after the show. We
Well-
have a show on November 28th.
If you have a time machine.
For all you
okay.
time travelers out there.
Yeah.
We know you're out there.
Do we have a show after December? We're playing a couple gigs, but not as Sweetberry Wine, possibly.
Yeah, we might be back. We're backing up some artists, but
Yeah, anyone who's listening who wants to check out new artists, Emily Patterson, definitely give her a listen. Kate Stevens. A band that I'm a big fan of is Freak Motif. Cam played bass with them for a little while. They're kind of like what would you say, like an Afrobeat band?
yeah, they do some extended grooves, Afrobeat type stuff. They're
Yeah.
a huge band. It's like 10-piece.
Yeah.
Four horns.
Yeah, but yeah, shouts out to them. I
That's
never say shouts out, but
Yeah, I know,
I'm gonna
but
do it
now
for
we're
this now.
now
Do you have
we're-
any bands for people to check out?
Well, definitely echoing all the stuff you just said, but I'm just trying to think of other bands to check out.
Kyle, do you have anything while Cam's thinking?
I will say a couple words. Yes, I think there's a lot of emerging artists coming out too, and I'm loving the new generation. There's young Marcus Trummer, who's coming up and great guitar player.
Blues guitar player.
Nice blues guitar player. There's Sid Hall, who's kind of coming up. She's did a recording with Cam and I, and that'll be released as soon as Cam gets it mastered. I'm just kidding, okay. But I think, and Trady Bradshaw, who's just coming off of having a baby herself, who I play with her. And, I'm excited for her to get back to live land, because she's a blast.
Mm-hmm. We're using our closing remarks to talk about how awesome everybody else is. Because we have a really great group of musicians. And Calgary is a very cool scene that I think is very unique. We're in this weird bubble of being small enough to have really good community and a good presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when people say, obviously every place has its problems for music, but I think Calgary has something special going.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. And I guess a big shout out to Cam Bowie for putting up with me this entire podcast.
Shouts out to Cam Bowie.
Cam Bowie gets
Cam Dizzle, the man with the dazzling eyes.
Dazzling eyes and the tinkling fingers.
Woo!
Yeah. Ladies, he's single.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone shouts out.
Shouts out.
Shouts out to everyone.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think you both hit the nail on the head with those.
Shouts out to the kitties.
Yeah.
These kitties are cute.
Yeah, and check out find us on all the social media.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, Sweetberry Wine. You probably clicked on the title, so you see how Sweetberry Wine is spelled.
With an A.
It was an A. Berry is an A.
Yes.
So Sweetberry Wine.
Because that's Barry to my right.
Yeah, it's
a
very
name.
self-serving.
Yes.
But check us out on Instagram, on Facebook,
And Twitter.
But I'd say the biggest, if you did want to support us, go to Bandcamp and buy our singles.
Yes.
Because Apple Music is dope and Spotify's dope, but if
We
you
don't make
really
no
want to
money.
support us, Bandcamp would be the way to do it. That goes mostly to us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll have all the links in the episode notes as well.
Thank you so
if
much.
anybody wants to find you guys, it'll be easy. Go into the episode notes, click on all the blue links. There's so many of them.
You're a legend.
Yeah, I tried. So.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
My girl lies over the horizon, and I just want her here in my arms. And every time I wake up, there's always a shake up. There's no need for alarm, 'cause now I got you. Now I got you. Now I got you. What can I say? Love you every night. I love you every day. I got you. Some say that the dating game is fine, and then you drew me in with your feminine wiles. And I won't play no hooky, and she give me those morning cookies. And there's love in her eyes. Now I got you. Now I got you. Now I got you. What can I say? Love you every night. I love you every day. I got you.
If you liked this episode of the podcast, why not leave a review? You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. For up-to-date information on the podcast, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at FrogE Style Productions. That's Frog, the letter E, Style Productions. For more ways to support the show, visit fsproductions.ca.